So it seems Roblox has finally pushed out their new quick words feature for players to use whenever they want to talk if they're not age verified or under the age required to use the actual chat features. But when you look at the actual menus they put together, there are some really glaring red flags that show that whoever designed this doesn't even understand how people actually play on this platform. You'd think that on a game where chatting and hanging out is basically the point, the first thing they would include is a way to say something like hi or hello. But if you look through every single button they gave us in these new menus, there's no option to say hi or hello or goodbye anywhere to be found. They also left out basic fundamental manners like please and thank you, which means you literally cannot greet another player or be polite using this brand new system. When you strip away these everyday words, it makes the whole feature feel robotic and disconnected from what the community is supposed to be about. If you look at the official help pages for the platform, they put this whole thing under the category of gameplay coordination instead of calling it a real chat system, which explains why it feels so corporate and lifeless. The problems get a lot worse when you look at the general menu because it traps you to only agreeing with people no matter what is going on. They give you all these buttons to say yes to things like confirm and okay and nice one, but they entirely forgot to add a single button that lets you say no or decline or cancel when you do not want to do something. If someone asks you to join their group or follow them into a different area, you literally have no direct way to tell them you do not want to go with them. You're still trying to figure out weird ways to say no by spamming random buttons like oof or my bad just to get the point across that you disagree. It is so awkward to be forced into a corner where you can only agree with everything happening around you because they forgot people need to say no whenever they don't want to do anything. And on top of the menus missing really obvious everyday words, the platform's own automated text filter is actually breaking the buttons that are already there for you to use. There are screenshots floating around showing that players are trying to use these pre-approved corporate words only for those messages to get completely hashtagged. This feature was specifically built to be a safe alternative for players who cannot use normal chat, but the game is still censoring the exact words it is forcing people to use. It is pretty funny to see the coding fail this badly in real time, but it highlights how broken moderation system is when it cannot even recognize its own safe words that were put there on purpose. Now, moving past the filter issues, the actual words they chose to include show a pretty peculiar bias towards one specific type of genre while leaving everyone else out to dry. When you pull the menus shown here, you see all these specific tactical commands like attack and fall back and usability and hold this area. Those phrases are perfectly fine if you're playing a fast-paced shooter or some kind of competitive combat game where you need to call out enemy positions, but a huge portion of players spend their time in roleplay games, casual hangouts, and tycoons where telling someone to use ability or spread out makes zero sense. You cannot hold a normal conversation or roleplay a regular scenario when the only tools you have are military commands, which alienates a huge part of the core audience who just want to chill and hang out. The way they handle some of the in-game mechanics with these words also creates a lot of unnecessary confusion, especially when you look at the trade button included in one of those menus. It sounds like a helpful option at first glance, but if you really think about how trading works in these games, hitting a button that just says trade is a complete dead end for communication. You can ping the word to let someone know you want to make a deal, but you do not have any vocabulary to tell them what item you want, how much you're willing to pay, or how to counter their offer if they give you a bad deal. To make things even more confusing, this universal button is going to show up on your screen even if you're playing a game that does not have any kind of trading economy built into it. Because the default words are so unhelpful for a lot of games, there are rumors going around that developers might eventually be able to customize these menus themselves with their own approved words. But even if we see that happen sooner or later, handing that responsibility over to developers is actually a bad thing in the long run for the whole community. By forcing individual creators to fix a communication system for their own games, Roblox is just offloading their responsibilities and making the developer do all the heavy lifting just to clean up the mess they made. If every single game has a completely different set of quick words, players are going to have to relearn where all the buttons are and what they say every single time they join a new server. The whole point of a quick chat system is to build muscle memory so you can click things fast without thinking, but that gets destroyed if the menus are constantly changing. When you take a step back and look at all these problems together, it really shows how far backwards the platform has gone compared to the old super safe chat system that was around all the way back in 2007, and when we dive into this, you realize that the difference is honestly pretty embarrassing for a modern update. The classic system had these big drop-down menus where you can actually string together real social interaction, start with a friendly greeting and then asking questions or giving compliments before sending a friend request to someone you just met. It also had a lot of goofy personality that fit the culture of the platform at the time, whereas these new quick words just feel very corporate without any fun attached to them. It's pretty insane to realize that a feature from almost 2 decades ago did a better job at keeping players connected than his brand new system. And speaking of how bad this is compared to the old system from back then, if you want to see how this fits into the bigger picture of Roblox slowly scrubbing away its own history and identity to look professional for investors, click the video on the left right now.